Let's have a little bit of fun on Numbers Don't Lie, presented by Sofascore. Of course, it's Match Day 8, Champions League predictions. And, usually we do this with the stats of the week and we kind of come out of it this way, but I actually want to have a little bit of fun, Mike. How about we start diving into what the Oracle says, right? Of course, we know how the final teams are going to be sort of shaping up in the final groups now as they're going from the league stage to the knockout stages, but let's have a little bit of fun with the predictions, right? So let's have a look at the most probable top 8 first of all. These are the teams that have worked so hard across the first 7 games and rightfully so have deserved their places in terms of booking themselves in the top 8 to finish. Arsenal and Bayern have done their business really early. Liverpool, Real Madrid, Barcelona, their kind of performances speak for themselves. And these 3 teams down here, I think have done really well. A couple blips here and there. Bodo Glimt was one. That's one we can highlight. But Mike, when you look at overall, are you happy in terms of looking at the probable top 8?
Yeah, look, I think these are the best teams in European football when it comes to the Champions League and how they compete against the rest of the competition. The one caveat, though, is Thomas Frank, he's doing this. When he's thinking about the Champions League, because that's saving his job right now. And the numbers literally don't lie for Tottenham.
I like that. Numbers don't lie. North London, definitely there's some prayers going over there. But this is where we're going to have a little bit of fun. So let's dive into what the Oracle says, right? And this is 10,000 predictions done by a computer and our friends at Sofascore that have kind of shaken up in terms of the weighted simulations for what this top 8 could shape up like. So they're saying the most likely Champions League table will be Arsenal, Bayern, Real Madrid, Liverpool, PSG, Barcelona, Man City, and an Atleti. What's your thoughts in terms of when you look at all of the weighted simulations possible, this top 8 right here?
Yeah, look, I think you have some of the best players that you're going to see all across the Champions League competition. My one thing with Atleti is, which Atleti is going to show up, right? The Atleti that Alexander Sorloth puts his team on his back, or the Atleti that needs Julian Alvarez to step up and get back in form? I mean, he's only got 1 goal in, let's just say, a long time. So if he comes good, they'll come good.
I like that. All right, we're going to switch gears really quickly. Let's have another look at some of these other teams that will be qualifying because, of course, from 8 onwards is the teams that then go into those knockout games, right? Those quick playoffs, those in and outs. Atalanta's been one, I think, especially under Gasperini, has been a surprise. We already spoke about Thomas Frank. Inter, Chelsea, Sporting are a team that nobody should be sleeping on. Juventus. It's a little dark horse, and I was talking about shout out to the small teams coming in, utilising their debut season and knowing what they want to do in Paphos. And above them, Marseille, which I think is going to be a dark horse in terms of whoever they get at any point because of their attacking fluidity. But what's your makeup in terms of the rest of the table?
Yeah, look, we got to give Paphos some love, right? They beat Villarreal, who are in the top 4 of Spanish football right now. So there's a little bit of magic over there in the Mediterranean. But I agree with you. Don't sleep as well on Borussia Dortmund at home. I know they haven't been as convincing away, but at home in the Champions League, it's something to watch out for.
Shock he gives Borussia Dortmund a shout out. This guy bleeds yellow and black all the way through. But then some of the teams that are going to be departing the competition according to the weighted simulations, I mean, this one right here screams a conversation. Scudetto champions, you already know what Antonio Conte is going to be like on the sideline. You're telling me that you don't see Napoli at this point progressing through?
No, I really don't. They're not deep enough to compete on multiple fronts. And I really have thought about this. A Napoli without Romelu Lukaku is no Napoli at all. I know they got Super Scott McTominay, putting the team on his back, but no David Neres for maybe the next 3 months. Get out of town.
I like this. All right, we're going to switch gears. So now let's talk about the possible matchups next in terms of the round of 16. So obviously some of the teams will naturally go through because they would have handled their business earlier, which will give them a better position against some of these teams that have to go into the playoffs. So if I said the Juventus versus Borussia Dortmund and a Bayer Leverkusen versus the Athletic Club, talk to me about how you see this sort of thing weighing out. This is an important game.
Yeah, look, I usually don't talk enough or about Juventus, right? But I'm going to start talking about them for this show and for this purpose. They're my dark horse right now because Luciano Spalletti, it is Spalletti ball. They look incredible. Go back and watch the 3-0 hammering they put. It just really embarrassed Napoli at the weekend. And they have one of the best young stars of this competition, both in Italian football and in the Champions League, in Kenan Yildiz. And big shout out to Weston McKennie as well. USA.
Of course,
he's balling.
Boy a shout out. Of course, the winners will play against an Arsenal Bayern team, so that's always going to be a difficult one. Let's switch gears really quickly and go into the next phase because I think some of the other playoff matchups I think are going to cause a few surprises. This one, Chelsea or a Sporting, could be a potential matchup against, of course, Olympiacos or Galatasaray. First of all, historical connotation there. Crazy. Atmosphere there through the roof. But looking at how this sort of thing will weigh up, which one of these teams kind of stand out to you if they do potentially get Liverpool or Real Madrid?
I would love to see Chelsea. Can you imagine if you're Liam Rossini, right? You go from playing against PSG in Liga, you know, the likes of a Monaco and all these other teams, and then you earn the right, because he will have earned the right after they beat Napoli, which I think they're going to do, to go and play, potentially, a Real Madrid. That's the stuff that you dream of when you get into management, but I still think Real Madrid will give Chelsea a run for their money. Transition will be the name of the game. Madrid could beat them.
Okay, I like that. I'm going to quote Liam Rossini and say I'm really good at my job. We're going to see how good you are. Let's go into the next phase, because I think some of these are some of the teams that people are sleeping on. When you look at some of the matchups down here, of course, Monaco and Inter are some of the two teams that you want to be seeing in the latter stages of any competition. Newcastle, they're a potential problem because of the physicality, because of maybe they say their starting 11 and how good they can be against anybody on their day. They've already had a test against Barcelona already, and we've seen what they can do in terms of weighing up man for man. A couple of magic moments from Marcus Rashford really separated the two teams. But looking at this overall, who's the dark horse in this for you?
Yeah, look, I think Inter, should they not get top 8, they would have to be considered the dark horse. But this is the state of Italian football right now. You have the league leader in Italian football maybe not getting top 8, the previous champion getting kicked out of the Champions League. I would love to see a rematch of the Champions League final, because that was something, that was a moment that will live in infamy across all of Milan, on the blue half, though. Not the red half, the blue half.
I do like that. Let's switch to the last bit, because I like some of these potential matchups. Of course, the Champions League, the last group stage, we're going to get used to this. Atalanta versus Spurs, Paphos versus Marseille. This right here, I feel has something special in it, but I do want to give you a quick nudge. Since you gave Juventus your nudge in terms of a dark horse, you've shown some love to Borussia Dortmund. Atleti, for me, I think they're rounding off at the right moments. I mean, the Super Cup is one thing. We've already seen in terms of when they go to head-to-head against top teams what it can do. But I do believe, as you said earlier, if they can get some of those star strikers back, you get Julian Alvarez scoring against Sorloth, who we've seen on the weekend can do what he does. I do believe that they could cause a few upsets, not only to potentially one of those big teams like a Man City, but I think they're better than all of these teams in terms of how they shape up overall. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, defensively is where they will have the edge, and a man and a midfielder like Koke could be the difference, Pablo Barrios as well, but Julian Alvarez, without him, they're going to be on the couch with us watching the rest of the Champions League.
All right, I like it. Give us your dark horses, because we've given you some of ours as the final game week of the Champions League is shaping up. And it's amazing, this new format, where we can see all of the league format top to bottom. But as we always say on this show, right, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. This has been us, and we out.
Hey, thanks for watching this video from Numbers Don't Lie. Be sure to catch our show every Monday at 5 p.m. on YouTube. And for news and insights from leagues all around the world, including Serie A, EFL, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.